Hello and welcome back. So in this video, I'll be going over HTML, what it is, and showing you how to set up your first HTML project in Visual Studio Code. So HTML, like we said before, stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's used to create HTML pages by describing the structures of the HTML page. So HTML consists of a series of elements, and these elements make up the HTML page or the web page. The purpose of web browsers like Chrome, Opera GX, or Edge are simply to read HTML documents, get these elements, and display them correctly. So a simple example of a HTML file is this. So right here you can see in the example, the doctype HTML declaration is used to tell the browser that this document is a HTML document. The HTML element defines the root element of the HTML page. Going forward, I'll be using a tree analogy sometimes, so just keep that in mind. The head element contains metadata information about the web page. These don't always show up in the browser, but they influence the visuals and also the interaction the user will have with the web page. This could range from CSS stylings to JavaScript files or even SEO information. So speaking of SEO information, the next one, the title, which is within the head tag. The title specifies the title for the page. This is what shows at the top of the page tab. If you notice your browser, when you open a new tab, you visit a website, that name that shows up there, that name is determined by the title. So it lets the browser know the title of that web page. The body element defines the actual visible body of the HTML page. All the visible content such as images, text, videos, all of that are going to be inside the body element. So now we have gone over the structure and I've been talking about elements. What are HTML elements? HTML elements are the building blocks of your website. They are basically components which, when brought together, make up the website. So basically, HTML elements are defined by writing an opening tag and a closing tag. You can also call this start and end tag. Start or opening, end or closing tag. So it looks something like this. You have the tag name, you have the contents, and you have the closing tag. An example is the title up there. You see there's title, then the title is written in there, that is the contents, and then we have the closing tag for the title. So you notice each closing tag has a backward slash. A HTML element is everything from the opening tag to the closing tag. However, some elements have no contents. For example, we have the break element. It has no content. And elements like this are called empty elements. So empty elements are elements that don't have any content within them, and they also don't have closing tags. So now that's enough talk about the theoretical aspect. Let's hop into Visual Studio Code and actually get some coding done. All right, there are two major ways to open a file or a folder in Visual Studio Code. The first one, if you go to your File Explorer, remember when we're installing Visual Studio Code, I showed you two options that will add extra options to your right-click menu. So if you selected them, if you right-click on a folder, you should see Open in Visual Studio. Just open with code, but this open with code, you notice the Visual Studio Code icon here. If I click on it, HTML tutorial, it has opened up that folder. We can start creating files inside that folder. Then if you just want to open a specific file, I'm going to come over here. If I right click, open with code, see the file is open right here. So I'm going to close this file for now. So what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to create a folder name it whatever you want. I named my HTML tutorial, but you can name yours whatever you want. Then I want you to right click and open with code. So with that done, we're going to create our first HTML file. And you do that, you come up here, you notice this button. If you hover over it, you see new file. Next to it, you see new folder. Then there's the refresh and there's minimize or it's collapse. So I'm going to click on new file. Another way, you could just right click in here and choose new file in this blank space here. But I just want to show you what these buttons do. So I'm going to name it index.html. You can name it homepage or ahaha.html. All are going to work, but as a naming convention, we usually use index for the home page. So I'm going to say index.html. So with that done, we have our HTML file right here. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to write out everything. Doc type HTML. And with that done, I'm going to say HTML head. You're noticing once I create the opening tag, it closes it for me. That's one of the benefits of using an IDE. If you create this in like Word or Notepad, it won't be closing them automatically for you. So like this now, we already have the basic structure down. Just going to add the title here and say my title. And for the body, I'm going to create a H1, my header, and I'm going to create a paragraph and say my paragraph. I spelled that right. So now if you go back to your HTML folder, you can see you can already open it. Like I'm using Opera GX, I can already open it in Opera GX. If I double click it, it's already open in Opera GX. This is a very basic HTML website. Not a website, a web page. This is a very basic HTML web page. So right now we have a basic website, but I want to show you some other benefits of this. There are what we call some other benefits of using an IDE. So these are what we call snippets, and they basically help you write your code quickly. So if I just write exclamation, you're probably wondering what is this? All these things that keep popping up when I'm typing. So this is one of the benefits of using an IDE. If I click on this right now, it has created a basic HTML file for us. Right now, let's not focus on this. So it has created basic HTML file for us. And that's one of the this is one of the benefits of using an IDE. This is one of the advantages of an IDE. So for instance, if I now say H1, that's created it for me. P created it for me. So we don't actually need to be going through and be typing everything. Unlike if you write this in Notepad or in MS Word, you're going to need to write every single line. And if your project is quite large, that could be quite troublesome. So this is just quality of life feature actually, but it goes a long way. So now I'm going to show you another thing that will actually help you going forward with this tutorial. You'll probably notice that some of the features here are not available on yours. For example, I have this prettier and I have go live. So I'm going to show you how to install these two. So what this go live does, if I click on this right now, so what that just did, that basically did what we did before, that we went and clicked on this index.html. But with go live now, we don't need to do that. So right now, there's nothing in this one because remember, we created a new blank project. So if I come and say HTML class, and for the H1, I say my new header, and for the paragraph, I say some random stuff, and I save it. Watch this now. It has already updated. If we weren't using, excuse me, if we weren't using the go live, this live server, every time we save the document, we will need to go back to the browser and refresh the page. Like if I refresh this now, it's now this one is updating. But this one that we're using a go live server, we're using a live server. Anytime we make a change, once we save it, it updates itself. So that is one of the benefits of using the live server. And the way you just get it is you download the extension. So if you don't know how an extension is, basically they have additional features you can plug into your IDE, in this case Visual Studio Code. So you go down here, click on it, then in the search bar you type live server. Make sure you're connected to the internet if you want to be able to do this. You type live server, you see it right there, you click it, click install, and once that is done, you can see it at the bottom there, just like mine. So once you click yours, you have created a live server. Alright, so thank you. This video was just to show you how to create your first HTML document and how to run it. So congratulations getting here so far. From the next video, I'm going to be showing more HTML elements and we'll be going further and you'll be able to create more cool stuff. So look forward to seeing you in the next video. Alright, thank you for sticking by to the end. If you feel this video helped you, please drop a like and feel free to subscribe for future content. I also have a website and a Discord where I'll be dropping most of my free content, so check that out. Also feel free to support the channel on Ko-fi to aid the making of future assets and videos. Alright, that's all for now. See you in the next video.